when we talk about growth not being linear and it's, it doesn't look like this, just like we don't go straight across the country in our road trip, is that we have to fail. We have to go back in order to have these moments where we can look forward and have awareness and self-reflection to move forward in the right direction. Because even if life is going swimmingly for you, if you're somebody that journals, you can go back and look at something that you wrote 3 years ago and your trajectory is completely different.
Totally.
If it's not, you should fucking worry.
Yes.
If you literally have not changed in 3 years, you need to spice up some shit.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not growing or we're not having awareness, right? And that's, a part of this the whole second part of the Fool's Journey is about that, right? And I hate to use the word mastery because as soon as we learn something, it changes. But it is part of it, right? Is mastering the ups and the downs. It's not about mastering life. It's about mastering how we move forward with purpose and not necessarily having control.
That's a big one. I think about that a lot, about how now I exercise surrender and how now I exercise letting go of control. Because for so long, that's all I looked for was how do I control situations? How do I even with like being a parent, I sometimes struggle with that too, because you want to control the behavior. You want to control the situation because you have that awareness and that experience to go along with it. But it's that paradigm shift of, right, but this is their journey. This is not your journey.
Well, that's it. Somewhere along that pathway, we realize that we are a part of this bigger wheel, right? And fate and luck and karma and accountability and all of it plays a role.
Sure.
In the direction that we're going. And the inner self starts to creep in. Slowly, we start to look at ourselves because we're on this road trip and we start to look at where we're going. We often will use external
validation,
but also external conflict as a reason that we haven't progressed where we want to go.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. Well, that exercise in and of itself where you recognize excuses and taking responsibility, whew. I think I struggle with that a lot just in general when I think about like what I look for in people and what I admire in people. I like when people can be accountable. And I like when people can say, you know what, I fucked up. I'm really sorry. And just be honest about it. Not like, well, this isn't my fault because XYZ reason. It's like,
I mean, honestly, that's where you have to grow. And when I look back at my life, do I have traumas from relationships? And it's not 100% other people's fault because I participated. Right. We all have an active participation on some level in what's going on in our life. Whether we have manifested the bullshit, and you want to go back to one of our first episodes and listen to that and how we accidentally manifest bullshit in our life every day, or you're just kind of floating around, not realizing your own power. But as soon as you take accountability and you're like, I played a role in this because I didn't trust in myself, or I didn't believe I was worthy,
or I didn't communicate clearly what my needs and wants are.
Right. And that's a big one. And I think for me, a long time, I didn't even allow myself to know what my needs and wants were.
Right.
Because I was so busy trying to make sure that I was making everybody else's needs and wants be fulfilled.
Yes.
And so then I wouldn't even give myself, and this was like, for a long time, I'd be like, I don't even know what I want to eat. Stupid shit that I should know what I want. For years, I did not know who I was or what I wanted because I only wanted other people to be happy with me.
Right.
Fuck that shit.
Yes.
If you are listening to this, please be done with it.
Please know that you can...
You're not alone.
You can put that to rest and move on to the next card.
Right. And that... You have to shed the old in order to make room for the new.
You do.
Right?
You do.
And that's when we get to that death card. Everybody's like, oh my God, the death card. Does that mean I'm going to die? Does that mean?
I love the death card.
I do too.
Because it's not physical death. It's not like your experience on earth is done, right? For some people, that actually probably rings true. But it's just the version of you that is needing to die, go away. You have to grieve that person, and you have to.
Yep. I've been listening to, actually just finished listening to an audiobook on Spotify. First time listening to a book on Spotify, by the way. And it was really interesting because it was a very different approach to manifestation. We'll have to get into this another time.
Okay.
But the last piece that they talked about was your vibrational bank account.
Oh.
And every time that we are living in guilt or living in shame or living in complaint of other people or circumstance or whatever it is, we are debiting from our vibrational bank account, right? Every time that we are spreading goodwill, thinking positive thoughts, sharing positive experiences with people, we're adding credit to that vibrational bank account, right? And it did talk about, okay, well, what about people that murder people, right? What about people that really like severely debit their vibrational bank account? Is that eventually those people do die in some way because they can't. So there are two things happen. Either they come to a point where they realize that they have to do something so large to change their life and the trajectory of their life that they are adding like a huge credit, we'll say, to the vibrational bank account in order to stay alive. Or they just bye-byes.
So fascinating.
I know, it is really interesting. It made me think about that because the death card, I don't ever associate with physical death. However, we all know that we can stress ourselves out to having medical emergencies and we can create a vibrational deficit in our bodies.
For sure.
That causes physical ailments and potentially death.
Yes, 100%.
So what happens after a major transformation?
Well, I wouldn't say the journey starts all over again, but you're on a different vibrational plane. You're a different version of yourself. You have these stories and these moments, these core memories. If you're a inside out kind of person, you have these core memories that you take with you as you move into the next phase, which is starting the journey, but also helping others on their journey.
Well, I think what happens is when we start to try to attain enlightenment, right? We start to try and find this balance and this harmony. We are having to integrate lessons of the past, right? And we're trying to figure out what that looks like. But then, it comes a time where we have to break free of self-imposed chains, right? And I think as we dive into the shadow self and dive into our inner world, now we're tempted by illusions or disillusions, and we're trying to sort through what those look like. I mean, how many times have we been like, okay, I'm finding balance, I'm on the right path, and then something happens and you're like, no, I'm not. Nope. No, I'm not.
All the time.
Right.
That's the thing too. Like these don't have to be like major life events all the time. These can be, to your point, daily things that keep coming up and resurfacing. These can be things from the past that you thought you had dealt with, that you thought you had moved on from, that come back into the picture and you're like, okie dokie, we're doing this again.
Well, I think it gets to a point where the fool, each of us, has to find that hope in order to heal and transform our lives.
And let go of the emotion, right? Or the attachment to whatever that was. I mean, I would say the fool's journey is such a good representation of our lives. And I like to combine different modalities and different exercises because they're so interconnected. So I think when you're looking back at where you've come from and the lessons that you've learned, it's important to also recognize and give yourself that recognition. And then, also in the same breath, think about where you're moving, where you want to move forward, how you want to be a person in this human experience, in this collective that makes positive change, that elicits new happy memories.